Good morning and welcome to my channel Perfect Pastimes. My name's Amanda, my friends call me Amo, and I live in Dorset in the southwest of England with my husband and my two dogs. And as always, Willow's groaning over there. You've just missed a magnificent groan. How are you all? I hope you're all well. I'm very, very happy to have you all here. And if you're new, welcome. I'm glad you've come back. Please consider liking this video and subscribing if you can find the buttons. I'm not quite sure where they are because I'm looking at a totally different picture to you. But it all helps my little channel grow. I'll put where you can find me here. And I hope to see you somewhere. I don't use Ravelry very much really at all, but I am on there. I know a few of you have found me over there. And I'm on Instagram as Perfect Pastimes as well as me. I'm trying to separate the Perfect Pastimes me from my home me, if that makes sense. Anyway, come over and join me on Instagram as well. I do post now and then, usually just what I'm up to in the week, but nothing very exciting. It would be lovely to see you. You can also contact me through the messages on there if you need to, as well as email and on here, of course. Yeah, brain's working, but I've turned up. Anyway, this week I have some bits I've moved on knitting wise. You will have seen a little video of what I've been doing for my morning coffee, and a tiny weeny bit of sketchbook catch up. Nothing much in that, I'm afraid. Been busy in the garden, been busy trying to avoid all the rain, as many of you know, in the UK and a lot of other places I believe it's done nothing but rain. I'm trying to keep up with deadheading so that if the summer does arrive, which it's supposed to this weekend, hence being in a t-shirt and shorts, you may I may get a second flush of flowers, which would be lovely. Put a lot of effort into the garden, and for it to be absolutely washed out after 2 weeks of really lovely sun, and then a week of torrential downpours and thunders and oh, it was horrific. Anyway, I have also put on a little short of one of my roses called Sally Holmes. It is a large shrub rose. It gets to about 5 or 6 feet. You've seen how tall it is against my fence line. If you've watched the short, that is. If you're not, you can go back and watch it. And she has been an absolute star. If you're after a bomb-proof rose that doesn't look glorious 1 minute and drowned the next, then Sally Holmes really is a superstar. She is an early flower and she goes on through the season. I think I've had that in flower at Christmas, you know. Nice gentle scent, and she has these big ball clusters of single flowers, and that has put up with all that rain. You'll have seen in the video the constant spray next to it, absolutely gone, absolutely gone. Sally Holmes still stood up. So if you are in the market for a bomb-proof rose, you can't go wrong with Sally Holmes. That's my recommendation this week anyway. So what you saw, hopefully at the beginning, was what I have been doing this week with my morning coffee. Like a lot of you, I start my day, once my basic chores are done, you know, the dogs and cleaning upstairs, bathroom, sorting the bedroom out, that sort of thing. I come and have a nice coffee in here and catch up with emails and bits and bobs online. And I have been knitting my Miss Moneybags purse. This is by Morag Mackenzie for Vintage Pearls. And there are the purses. I first saw this on Amanda Dean's YouTube channel. She also has an Instagram called I_knit_daily. She's a new podcaster, so go and have a look for her. She's down in New Zealand, also in Amanda. And I saw that on her YouTube channel. And I went to make the butterfly. It looks more like a moth to me because it's got pointed wings. But I guess you could interpret, just like this, it's got a hair stance, but that's definitely a rabbit shape. You can interpret as you like, can't you? It's a lovely little pattern. And that is what I have been making with my morning coffee. And I am at the steeking stage. So there's the actual purse body. It has a tweedy bottom. I messed up slightly there. I shouldn't have to point things out to you, but it does annoy me. I'm not going to go back and do it again. It's a purse bottom, it doesn't matter. I did all the pattern, including the steeking stitches for the side, and I've started the steek. I have secured and cut that one. Ooh. I've got a carrier bag in it at the moment to give it a bit of body. I have also sorted the lining. You do get a pattern. I'm really itchy again today. I do apologise. I think it's because I've been out in the garden. I'm probably covered in black fly or green fly or something. Sorry. I got the lining done. This will pop inside. I'll sort out the frame bit. It's not difficult to add the frame to a purse. Somebody asked, I think it was you, Pip. It's not too complicated. Just have to take your time. It's to my mind, it's harder finding the right needle that will go through the holes of the purse frame with a yarn in. I can always use a stranded cotton. I've got all my stranded cottons there to stitch it together, which will probably where I will go, because it's very hard to get, thank you Willie, to get this through a small enough needle that will go through the holes of the purse frame. So later on, I'm about to go out in the garden again. My greenhouse needs weeding. Later on, I will finish off the steeks of this, cut the steek, insert the lining, fix the lining, and then add it to the frame. So hopefully, I'll definitely have this finished by the next time I see you. Isn't it pretty? Now, I started this. I knew I wanted to make, I think I've put them away. I'll just get the yarns. Wait a minute. I was looking through my yarn pieces, yarn leftovers. The pattern says 20 gram minis for both, which is a cover-all, really. And I found this lovely deep mottly brown. This is the Urban Pearls Urbanite. It's a beautiful, rich, alive brown because it's got so many tones and colours in it. And it was a leftover from one of my sweaters. It was the Spectre. So I knew I wanted to use that. The other colour I found was a 20 gram leftover in this greeny mustard. It's almost like a green gold mustard, and I thought they'd go together well. And I haven't got the lights on. Let me go and put the lights on a moment. Oh, that's given me a glow, hasn't it? There we go. I thought they'd go together well for this little purse. I think it was probably better without the lights on, to be honest, but never mind. I started knitting the colour work. I'd done the base, I'd done the rose extra, and I started knitting the colour work with this mustardy green gold colour. And there wasn't too much contrast, and I photographed it and reversed it black and white. There looked like there was contrast there, but it wasn't too much. I think there's a couple of tones in here that matched this almost. It didn't pop as much as I wanted. So that went out the window. I went and had another rummage, and I found this tiny little bit of Herkle Durkle. Lay Family Yarns guest colour by Gaynor, of Gaynor Jane and Tales from Cuckoo Land. I'm not sure she's doing much anymore, but the contrast there was much sharper, and that's what I went with. As you can see, it gives a lovely sharp contrast, which is what I wanted for such a small project. I weighed both my little yarn balls before I started, and when I'd finished, I had used 3.84 grams in the background, so 14 grams, so a 20 gram mini would do the background, and 4.98 grams of the Herkle Durkle, 5 grams. So a 5 gram mini or a 10 gram mini would more than easily do, and their balls, they're bouncing everywhere, more than easily do the contrast. So a 20 gram and a 10 gram mini, fine, absolutely fine to do this pattern with. I think of the three, it's probably the more in-depth background. There's not quite so much coverage of the background colour with the rabbits, nor this particular pattern of flower. Now in the very back of this pattern book, print off, PDF print off, she does kindly give you a blank sheet for you to design your own, which I thought was a lovely idea. Obviously you put a side picture there and then your main picture there, so that you can follow the same pattern with your own chart. And if you're one of these who've got one of those books of Fair Isle patterns, thank you Willie, you could make up your own pattern. So if there's a couple of motifs in there that you really like, you could add your own. But you know I'm nuts about my moths, so that's the one that I've done in some very beautiful earthy colours of Urbanite and Herkle Durkle. That's what I will be getting on with, hopefully in my knit time, coffee time tomorrow. What else have I done this week? I can get rid of that now because I've told you the weights. I have moved on to separate for my Lauro. The Papas I haven't done anything on, or the 3-season cardigan. I haven't picked those two up this week. But I have moved my Lauro on. This is by Mini Me Knit Design, the Lauro sweater. which has these lovely lace raglans that there's two of them carry on down the side seam. Okay, and I am using Drop Spell in 34, which is Purple Orchid. I did show you this last week, and there I finished the side sleeve raglan, and I've split for the side, and you can see how the sleeve raglan carries on down the side. I have tried this on. It's a little large on me, or oversized. I don't mind that. I'm going to take in a little bit of waist shaping. I don't think the pattern does waist shaping, but I'm going to give it some. I am quite busty at the top anyway, so I'm not using the same yarn. I did gauge swatch for it and think I got the right one, but obviously as you knit looser as you go around anyway. I will take another swatch reading on this. Drop Spell I'm very pleased with. It's quite a nice fluid drape on it. So those lovely raglan sleeves are carrying on, raglan panels are carrying on down each side. And I'm just going round and round and round now. I don't think the sleeves are too long. On the picture they are quite short in the knit there, and then there's a nice long cuff which gives it almost a bell sleeve. So I don't think the sleeves will take too much time when I get there. So that is well on the way. Of course, you know, once you've done the split, it shouldn't be too much trouble at all. But this does still continue have a pattern, which does keep me interested, I suppose. And the other thing that I have been working on and trying to finish, because I think we have our next drop next week, and that is the Carnaby shawl, which is the second pattern in the Shawl Society 6 for this year by Helen Stewart. And last week I told you I had made it to the halfway. Don't forget, this is supposed to be a shawl and I'm making a scarf size. I've knocked out about 3 repeats of the pattern width, I think, which goes up diagonally. And I had made it to here, and then my colour changing yarn went to bright yellow, which I didn't want to do, so I took that out, and I've started going back down the colourways, and I'm just at the green purple there, which is the equivalent to this colour, which is quite a short strip actually. Then I have a large panda purple, a small pinky mauve, and then the bright pink, orange, and a lighter orange. So I only have that much left to do. Just started the purple, and that is quite a big lump in there, but I'm sure it'll knit up quite fast. So I've been trying to get this moved on more than anything, I think, because the next one of these is going to drop, I think it's probably Thursday. I've got the dates written down somewhere, and this is out of stash, so I'm expecting an email from Helen Stewart any day now. She does send you an email with a materials list of what she suggests, what has been done for her, what her test knitters have done, and what alternatives you could do it in. My alternative was to do that in a DK from stash. She's done hers in a 4-ply with a mohair. I didn't want to do that. So I've done nothing on the Papas, nothing on the 3 season. I'm trying to finish the Carnaby. I've moved the Laura onto the under sleeves. Other than that, it's been gardening. I have done a video in my how I playlist of how I put the heel in on my socks. The tube sock, I made this tube, put in the cuffs each end, cut it in half, put the toes in and added the heels. So if you go over to that video, you can see those socks and how I put the heel in as a afterwards. A couple of people have asked what the benefit of that is. Well, I usually use my socks as car knitting or out and about knitting. I don't have to worry about putting a heel in while I'm out and about. I just keep knitting until I used up the yarn. The sock set I used for that was a 50 gram 20. I don't actually have it here with me, otherwise I'd show you. So I had a tiny little bit of the 20 left. I don't know why I didn't use it up. I could have done though, but you can use up the whole 50 grams, add your bits in and then add the heels in afterwards. You can work out if you've got enough heels, if you've done long cuffs and done the toes the same. It's fairly flexible, let's put it that way. I enjoy doing socks that way. Winnie on guard, that's the postman. Apologies. Well, there we go. We are now defended from the postman, who had a nice little parcel for me. Nothing exciting, I'm afraid. I have totally forgotten where I was. I think I'd shown you the Carnaby and the Lauro. I'd spoken to you about the sock tube video. If you want to go and have a look at that, I'll show you how I put my heels in. It's the same as putting a toe in. You just put it halfway down the tube. Tubes are great for just continuous knitting. You don't have to worry about, oh, if I've done enough to put the heel in. They're also a great way of using up yarn. You can also, I have done in the past, when I've had a stripe, a self-striping yarn, put in a cuff, done the whole self-striping yarn, put in a toe. And when I cut it in half, on the one I put the toe in, I can put a cuff, and the one I put that started with a cuff, I can put a toe, and you have matching stripes. Easy. Then I put the heels in. The only other thing I was going to show you this week was a tiny catch up on my nature journal. I haven't done too much. I've been out in nature, not journaling about it. I haven't done any more moths in my moth journal yet. I think because I have so many moths, my own photographs, we're hoping to put the trap out again once it stops raining. You've got to appreciate having a great big moth trap in pouring rain halfway up the garden isn't a great idea for moths. Tempting them to come out of hiding when it's bucketing down isn't fair on them. Also, the drainage on my moth trap isn't great, so they'd only drown in it. So I haven't been doing that in the rain. I do need to do one for June, because June's usually quite an exciting month. So I'm hoping to get that out soon. Painting the moths in my new moth journal could be a off-season thing to do in the winter, but I am planning one or two more. So I thought I'd catch you up with my basic nature journal. I did this in early spring, little singing Dunnock and the Daisy. The walk I went on with Gwyn and I saw the beehives. I have added a little bee and a fir cone just to fill up a corner. Next one was, you're not the next page. This watercolour paper is so thick, it's lovely. There we go. That was the pool out on the heath with a sprig of gorse. I knew there was another page. I think you've seen all these anyway. That was the walk over by one of the big houses, and so dog violets, sweet violets, and that's one of the oil beetles. You may have seen dozens of oil beetles around in the spring. They're quite large black beetles who bumble around, if you touch them they squirt you with the stinky stuff, but they're very beautiful to look at. They're very iridescent. So I managed to get his iridescence in there, and I used a metallic watercolour for that. So you've seen all those. That was my bluebell walk up on the estate. If any of you have ever tried painting bluebells, you will know how hard it is to actually get the blue of bluebells. It's very difficult, but I think I managed to get it there. Up in the woods. And that was the day I saw the mummy sheep with the lamb, and there was this fencing all around the edge of the field that had been made, handmade, wattle weaving, I assume. Beautifully done though, a little primrose. And seeing as we're almost halfway through summer apparently, I should move on for the spring ones really. The only other thing I did was that the owl moon, it's the worm moon, but an owl with a moon, some time ago. And I have just finished the stag beetle, which I found bumbling along at the top of the garden the other week. We were very excited to see him because in the UK they are fairly rare. There is a site that you log seeing stag beetles. I've had a few females, but I haven't seen a male for many years. And you register them on the site because they are logging where they're actually found in their steep decline. So it was lovely to find him. Gwyn nearly had him hanging off of her nose. She was being so nosy. Yes, they do pinch and they do hurt. They're quite large beetles if you're not in the UK. He must be 3 inches long. Magnificent thing, and worth taking the time to log if you do actually find stag beetles. So that was an update in my nature journal. This is one I made out of watercolour paper. I haven't done anything more in the moth book yet. I will catch up with some more on that. And that is just everything I've been doing this week. I've been trying to keep it quite concise for you, at least a coffee's worth, maybe a couple of rows on your knitting. And I am now going to go out and tackle my greenhouse, which has run away with me. There's some tomatoes that are reddening up nicely up there, so I'm looking forward to having those very soon. It's still a bit windy out there, but I will be in the greenhouse out of the wind, and that's what I plan on doing for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll go up in the cabin and do some knitting up there this afternoon. All for now, I'm afraid. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all again very soon. So stay safe and stay creative. Bye.